At just 10 years old, Macaulay Culkin was the highest-paid actor in the world. He was earning millions per film, standing shoulder to shoulder with legends, welcomed at the White House, and recognized everywhere he went. His face defined an entire generation. That unforgettable image, hands pressed to his cheeks, mouth wide in shock, became one of the most iconic moments in film history. While audiences laughed with Kevin McAllister on screen, behind the camera a very different story was unfolding. The threats in his life weren't fictional burglars. They were pressures and expectations from people far closer to him, people entrusted with protecting him but who instead turned his talent into a business. By 16, Macaulay did something almost unheard of in Hollywood. He took legal action against his own parents, legally separated himself from them, and cut the ties that had controlled his life. When he won his independence, it came with a cost that would echo for years. Not long after, tabloids declared he was spiraling, that he had only months to live. Photos painted him as fragile and lost. The former golden boy was recast as a warning story. But much of what was written wasn't true. How does a child who seemed to have everything become trapped by his own success? What happened during the years he stepped away from the spotlight? Why did Michael Jackson become the one figure he trusted most? And how does someone rebuild after losing their childhood, their family stability, and nearly their sense of identity? To understand that, we have to return to the beginning, to a small apartment in New York where a 4-year-old boy was introduced to a stage long before he understood what that meant. Macaulay Carson Culkin was born on August 26, 1980, in New York City. His father, Kit Culkin, had once pursued acting himself. His mother, Patricia Brentrup, managed a household of 7 children in tight quarters. Space was limited. Privacy was rare. Dreams were big. When Macaulay showed natural charisma, his father recognized opportunity. Acting became less of a hobby and more of a mission. Before kindergarten, Macaulay was already auditioning. Childhood blended with rehearsals. Praise came when roles were secured. Disappointment followed rejection. By 6, he was working steadily in theater and small television parts. He showed remarkable discipline for someone so young. Directors noticed his timing. Casting agents remembered him. His father managed everything, from negotiations to on-set presence, maintaining strict oversight of every opportunity. In 1989, Macaulay appeared in Uncle Buck alongside John Candy. Though the role was modest, his performance stood out. Hollywood paid attention. Then in 1990, Home Alone transformed him into a global sensation. The holiday comedy exceeded all expectations, earning over $476 million worldwide, and becoming the highest-grossing comedy of its time. Kevin McAllister wasn't just a character. He became part of cultural history. Suddenly, Macaulay was everywhere. Magazine covers, red carpets, interviews. Invitations to prestigious events followed. He visited the White House. He formed a friendship with Michael Jackson. His salary leaped into the millions. In 1991, My Girl revealed a more vulnerable side of him, proving he could move audiences to tears as easily as laughter. Then came Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, which achieved enormous success again. By 1993, he starred in The Good Son, taking on a darker role that surprised audiences. In 1994, Richie Rich made him the highest-paid child actor in history, earning $8 million for a single project. On paper, it was an extraordinary ascent. Behind the scenes, however, control over his career and finances remained tightly held by his father. Studios tolerated difficult negotiations because the films generated enormous revenue. As his teenage years approached, the strain intensified. His parents' relationship deteriorated, leading to a custody battle where financial control became central. By then, Macaulay had earned an estimated $17 million placed in trust. In 1997, at 16, he sought legal emancipation. The decision shocked the industry. Court proceedings exposed family conflict and management disputes. When the judge granted his request, he gained control over his finances and independence over his life. But the emotional cost was profound. Relationships within his family fractured, some beyond repair. He stepped away from acting, Even before the legal matters concluded, he had begun declining roles. Fame no longer felt appealing. He wanted anonymity, to explore who he was outside the identity the world projected onto him. The media struggled to understand. How could someone at the height of success simply leave? In 1998, he married actress Rachel Miner. Both were young, navigating adulthood while carrying the weight of early fame. The marriage was brief. They separated in 2000 and divorced in 2002. Later, he entered a long relationship with Mila Kunis, lasting nearly 8 years. For a time, it offered normalcy. During the mid-2000s, paparazzi photos and tabloid headlines fueled speculation about his health and lifestyle. Stories circulated exaggerating his condition. He later clarified that while he faced challenges, many rumors were untrue. He experimented creatively, publishing a novel titled Junior in 2003 and forming a parody band called the Pizza Underground. The projects were unconventional and often misunderstood, but they represented creative freedom without commercial pressure. In 2009, the death of Michael Jackson deeply affected him. Their friendship, formed during the height of his childhood fame, had offered him understanding and empathy. He attended Jackson's memorial privately, choosing not to turn grief into spectacle. Years later, change arrived quietly. In 2017, he met Brenda Song while working on Changeland. Both former child actors, they understood the unique pressures of growing up in public. Their relationship developed steadily and privately. In April 2021, they welcomed a son, Dakota, named in honor of his late sister. In 2024, they quietly welcomed a second child. Fatherhood reshaped his priorities. Creatively, he re-emerged on his own terms. He launched the satirical lifestyle brand and podcast Bunny Ears, reclaiming control of his narrative. In 2018, he appeared in American Horror Story, reminding audiences of his talent. That same year, he recreated scenes from Home Alone in a Google commercial, embracing his past with humor rather than resistance. In 2023, he received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, acknowledging his enduring cultural impact. Today, at 44, Macaulay Culkin lives a life defined less by fame and more by intention. He speaks openly about the need for stronger protections for child actors. He maintains selective creative involvement. Most importantly, he prioritizes family. His journey is not a fairy tale. It is a story of early success, complex family dynamics, personal loss, and gradual rebuilding. He stepped away when continuing might have cost him more. He endured public speculation and private grief. And ultimately, he shaped a life on his own terms. Macaulay Culkin survived pressures that could have defined him forever. Instead, he redefined himself, not as a cautionary tale, not as a headline, but as a father, partner, creator, and individual who chose peace over performance.